Hello investors! Ito ang ating unang tutorial sa value investing. Ang value investing ay isang investing principle na pinasikat ni Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger ng Berkshire Hathaway. Sila yung mga experts natin when it comes to value investing. Nasa 90 years old na sila and they've been investing for multiple decades. Pero hanggang ngayon, ginagamit pa rin nila yung sariling versions nila ng value investing. Ang basic idea ng value investing ay ang pagbili ng stocks na magaganda at solid na companies. Tapos bibilihin natin sila kung mababa yung price nila compared to our calculated intrinsic value. Huwag mag-alala kung medyo intimidating yung definition nito because we will discuss yung meaning nito in this video and in our future videos. Pero for now, just remember that we are doing this, we are calculating the intrinsic value para makabili tayo at a low price. Sa video na ito at sa future videos ko, I will talk about kung paano natin ito ginagawa. Para meron kayong bird's eye view sa process ng value investing, ito yung simplified steps kung paano ito gawin. First is yung stock picking, which is the process that we will discuss today. After this, we need to calculate the intrinsic value of the company based on financial documents that are available to us. Next, kailangan natin bumili at a price below our calculated intrinsic value, ideally below our preferred margin of safety. And lastly, sell when the conditions are right. Ang bawat value investor, iba-iba ang strategy for calculating the valuation of a company. Ito ang reason kung bakit iba-iba rin yung mga recommendations ng different analysts in the market. Sa next few videos ko, pag-uusapan natin yung iba't ibang paraan ng pag-assign o pag-calculate ng intrinsic value. Pero for now, let's focus on stock picking. Stock picking, as I said, is very important kasi maraming mga companies in the stock market in the Philippines and around the world na basura stocks. Ito yung mga stocks na hindi kumikita at walang prospect na kumita in the future. Ayaw mo maglagay ng pera sa mga companies na ito. Merong over 270 companies sa PSE habang ginagawa ko yung video na ito. Hindi mo kailangan pag-aralan lahat ng yan at once. Mahirap yon. As a beginner, focus lang tayo sa small fraction of the entire market. Para makapag-umpisa sa value investing, pumili ka lang ng isang stock ng company na familiar ka, tapos pag-aralan mo yung business nila. Kung naiintindihan mo at nagustuhan mo yung company, then proceed ka sa pag-calculate ng valuation, which we will discuss later on. Pero kung hindi mo naman ito nagustuhan, hanap ka ng another company, tapos yun naman yung pag-aralan mo. The idea is to study one company at a time. So how do we study companies? The first rule of value investing is dapat na iintindihan natin kung ano ang business ng isang kumpanya at kung paano ito kumikita. Dahil dito, kapag gumagamit tayo ng strategy na ito, hindi tayo mag-i-invest kung wala pang kita yung isang company. We only invest in companies na meron ng income. So to proceed, bago mag-invest sa stocks, sagutin mo muna yung mga tanong na ito. Ano ba yung product and services ng company na yan? Mabenta ba ito sa mga tao? Paano sila kumikita ng pera? Is it through sales of products and services? Or is it through subscription? Sino ang competition nila at gaano kalakas ba ang mga ito? Sino-sino ang mga nasa leadership team nila at ano ang mga risks sa business nila. Makikita mo ang mga sagot sa mga tanong na ito sa mga annual reports ng company. Pumunta ka lang sa disclosure page ng company na gusto mo sa PSE Edge, tapos hanapin mo ang form na 17-1. Ito yung annual report nila. Bakit kailangan mo sagutin yung mga questions na ito? Kasi dito mo malalaman kung maganda ba itong company right now at sa future. According kay Peter Lynch, na isa sa pinaka-successful na investor sa US, dapat kaya mong i-explain sa isang bata kung bakit binili mo yung stock ng isang company. Kung naiintindihan mo ang business ng isang company at gusto mong mag-invest dito in the future, pwede mo itong isama sa iyong circle of competence. Ang circle of competence ay isang grupo ng stocks kung saan expert ka kasi alam mo kung paano ang kumpanyang ito kumikita at gaano kaganda yung business nila. Tapos binabantayan mo lahat ng news about this company. Ang magagaling na value investors nag-i-invest lang sa mga companies na nasa circle of competence nila. Hindi sila nanghihinayang kung malaki yung gains ng ibang companies kasi hindi naman nila nabantayan at kilala yung mga companies na yon. Another source of information ay ang company website. Dito usually naglalagay ang isang company ng information na kailangan ng mga investors. In this example, I will use AGI o Alliance Global because this is also the company that I will use when calculating valuating in my next video. To check Alliance Global as a company and as a business, search mo lang yung name ng company sa Google, tapos hanapin mo yung website nila. When there, hanapin mo yung disclosures na page. Dito mo makikita yung sinasubmit nila sa SEC. Also, pwede mo rin ito makita sa Investagrams.com at sa PSE Edge. And lastly, yung isang preferred source ko na kuna ng information is yung Ticker.com. So far, free lahat ng yan gamitin. Mag-iiwan ako ng link sa baba in case na interesado kayo na i-check out yung mga websites na ito. Kung masipag ka magbasa sa mga sources of information na ito, you are rewarded kasi marami kang makikita mga opportunities sa market. After ng video na ito, try mong pumunta sa websites ng top 5 companies sa PSEI. Tapos, try mo lang intindihin kung ano yung business nila at saan naka-invest yung capital ng mga companies na ito. Or kung paano sila kumikita. So now, alam mo na kung paano kumikita yung gusto mong company, what next? The next step is, piliin mo yung mga companies na merong competitive advantage. Yung competitive advantage na ito ay tinatawag na moat in value investing. Ang moat sa medieval warfare ay ang area na nakapalibot sa castle na puno ng tubig. Ang purpose nito ay para sa defense ng castle, para hindi ito madaling maakyat ng mga kalaban. Yan rin ang purpose ng moat sa investing. Ito ang competitive advantage ng isang company laban sa competition nito. Ito ang tinatawag na durable competitive advantage. Durable kasi dapat hindi ito madaling makopya ng competition. Let's take for example yung telecom industry sa Pilipinas. In the past, malakas ang moat ng PLDT. Sila lang yung may technological infrastructure para makaprovide ng national telecom service in the Philippines. This was around the 90s. Kailangan malaki ang capital ng isang company para makagawa ng infrastructure na ito. Tapos, para maging telecom company in the Philippines, dapat i-convince mo yung Congress na bigyan ka ng franchise. Dahil sa mga factors na ito, mahirap pumasok sa industriya ng telecom. As a result, nakuha ng PLDT ang malaking part ng market share in that industry. Sa book ni Phil Towns na Rule 1 Investing, ang tawag niya dito ay yung toll gate mode. Toll gate kasi sobrang mahal ng toll fee o capital ng needed ng isang company para pumasok sa industry na ito. Kung maraming moats o competitive advantage ang isang company, yung mangyayari is that it will have a monopoly in the market. And yan yung nangyari sa PLDT, which is the reason why nag-e-encourage yung government sa mga local and international businesses na pumasok sa industry by granting additional franchises in telecommunication. I will discuss more about moats in my next videos. For now, just remember na gusto mong piliin yung mga companies na merong ganito, competitive advantage, laban sa mga kalaban nila. Pag mawala yung competitive advantage ng isang stock na hawak mo, then it's probably a good time to sell to protect your profits. The next factor that you may want to consider checking is yung management. Sino ba ang namamahala sa business na ito at ano yung track record nila? Kung masagot mo ito, makakagawa ka ng educated assumptions kung ano yung magiging actions and behaviors ng mga taong ito in the future, especially if merong challenges sa business nila. We are studying the past track record of the management team at ng leaders ng company para malaman natin yung capabilities nila to deal with challenges in the future. Yung isang company, merong board of directors at mga executives. Some of the executives kasama din sa board of directors. Yung board of directors are also shareholders. So, they represent us shareholders in the decision-making process of the company. At gusto rin nila na tumaas yung value ng stock. However, regulated yung mga buying and selling ng stocks ng mga taong ito. So for example, si Manny V. Pangilinan na chairman ng PLDT Board of Directors, kailangan na declared sa investors kung ilang shares yung hawak niya. And every time na mag-buy and sell siya, declared yon sa Securities and Exchange Commission. The same din sa iba pang mga directors of the company. Aside dito, importante rin ang board dahil sila yung nagde-decide kung magbibigay ng dividends yung company o di kaya mag-uumpisa ba itong mag-buyback ng shares. More importantly, pwede rin nila palitan yung mga tao sa executive positions of the company. Now let's talk about the executives. Sila yung mga taong namamahala sa day-to-day strategic operations ng company. Ang pinakasikat siguro dito is yung CEO o Chief Executive Officer at yung President. Dapat magaling yung track record ng mga taong ito in all aspects of the business. Pero depende sa industry, kailangan mo rin mag-research about other executives. For example, if tech-heavy yung isang company, you may want to check the CTO or Chief Technology Officer kasi siya yung in charge sa infrastructure and systems of the company. Luckily para sa atin, mas madali nang mag-research today. You can check the company website for the executive positions in the company. Dapat andun yung list of directors and executives nila. You will notice din na yung mga basura stocks, hindi maganda yung website nila at hindi pa pinapakita kung sino-sino yung namamahala sa mga companies na ito. If may ma-encounter ka na ganito, take note na red flag yan and tread carefully. If walang kwenta yung website ng company, you can also go to the disclosures of the company in the PSE. You can find this in the PSE Edge. For example, hanapin mo yung 17 10-1 na form. Ito yung annual report ng company. Hanapin mo lang yung latest na report. Diyan dapat nakalagay yung list of directors and executives ng company. Tapos, if nagbenta o bumili yung directors, check mo lang yung latest na Form 17-7 or Statement of Changes in Beneficial Ownership of Securities. Dito nakalagay kung nagbenta ng shares yung directors. So gusto mong pumili ng mga companies na visible yung directors and executives nila. Ideally, yung mga nag-show up sa news kasi hindi silang takot na makulong in case na scam pala yung business nila. Pero hindi lahat ng websites ng companies may complete information about their executives. Hindi rin lahat ng mga executives show up in the news. So be careful kung hindi ka makahanap ng information about the company CEO, chairman, and other executives. Also, if makahanap ka ng information about the executives and the leaders of the company, try mong check yung track record nila. Ano ba yung previous companies nila in the past? Tapos, ano ba yung performance nila doon? Nalugi ba yung company na hinahandle nila? Meron bang scandal na pinasukan yung company? By doing this, you will be able to assess if qualified ba sila sa executive positions na hinahandle nila right now. Again, if hindi mo mahanap yung mga information na ito, mag-ingat ka na. Also, you want to check the news about the selling of shares of executives. Ayaw ng other investors yung mga companies kung saan mahilig magbenta ng shares si chairman o di kaya si CEO kasi they are cashing in. In their point of view, at meron silang insider knowledge kung ano yung nangyayari sa company, they feel that the stock price is already beyond intrinsic value. Kaya they are cashing out. Bad signal yan for investors and traders and this may prevent yung rise ng share prices. So ganito ako mag-aral ng stock. First, I do my best to understand yung business nito. And then, I go to the news and other sources of information for their leadership, for the history, and sa kung ano pa yung mga projects ng isang company so that I can further understand kung ano yung future nito. Let me give you an example. When I started investing, yung dalawang companies na binantayan ko ay yung AGI and LPG. Noong 2014, I started studying these companies. And noong 2020 na pandemic, bumaba yung price ng both companies na ito kasama sa PSEI. Pero bumili ako ng AGI at an average price of 6 pesos pero hindi ako bumili ng LPG. In fact, noong 2014 pa lang nag-decide na ako na ayaw ko mag-invest sa LPG. Both sila pinag-aralan ko. Pareho silang may magandang chairman at CEO at pareho din silang kumikita. At expected na babalik yung kita kapag makalabas na tayo sa pandemic. May personal reason kung bakit hindi ko sinama yung LPG sa circle of competence ko is because sa nature of business nito. Yung business ng LPG ay nasa alcohol, banking, real estate, and tobacco. Maganda mga businesses na kasama sa LPG, pero may issue ako sa isa dito, and that is tobacco. For one, mas strict na yung selling ng tobacco products ngayon. At hindi na maganda yung future outlook of this part of the business. In contrast, yung AGI naman, medyo harmless yung mga companies within this holding company. Ito yung mga brands under sa kanya. Maganda ang kita ni AGI. And merong mga moat yung mga companies nito. One is, for example, yung national franchise rights nila sa McDonald's. Tapos, among the top real estate companies, Megaworld ay isa sa mga cutting-edge na developers in the country. Yung moat ng Megaworld is yung mga office buildings nila in strategic locations in the country. Mostly yung mga growing pa lang na mga locations. And maganda yung mga earning potentials ng mga companies na ito. For example, one of their moats is that yung Megaworld buildings are mostly rented by BPO industries or business process outsourcing. Proven ito na mas reliable source of income ngayong pandemic unlike sa POGO and real estate and condominium sales. Tapos, in addition dito, merong railway development project yung AGI, which is a prospect for growth. This will be owned by the Philippine government kung matapos yung project. Pero, yung AGI, yung magmamanage ng operations nito. That's another source of future income for the company. The only reason kung bakit hindi ako bumili nito in the past is because, for me, sobrang mahal pa ng AGI noong 2014 hanggang 2019. Kaya't noong bumaba yung price nito noong pandemic, ito yung una kong binantayan at binili eventually. Umabot sa sobra 80% yung kinita ko dito in just 5 months of holding. Isang example lang ito kung paano yung research and value investing principles help me para kumita sa market. In my next video, I will discuss naman yung isang paraan para mag-value ng isang company and para malaman natin kung mura ba ito o mahal bilhin. So to recap, when researching a company, do your due diligence. Learn the company business, choose companies with competitive advantage or moat, and choose companies with strong earnings and proven management team. That's it for today, guys. Ingat!